Were you involved with the Google Earth Engine at any point? So a bit different, but this is more for scientific computing, but on the really processing of data. I know Rebecca Moore was a really big person involved in that, and it happens a little bit later. But I'm curious if you worked on any of it.
Oh yeah, I mean, I managed the team throughout the whole development of Google Earth Engine. So
Right.
Rebecca,
Okay.
Rebecca is an interesting story. I hired her as one of our first GIS data engineers in 2005. She was probably one of the first 2 or 3 hires that our team did once we joined Google. And so, initially she worked on all of the extra data layers that we had not managed, had not done well with on Google Earth. But eventually, she got connected with some folks who had this idea for a sort of scientific computing and ingesting all of the historical satellite imagery from Landsat. And also, she knew that the inside of Google was built around this sort of scalable multi-machine computational model, and so her, along with her team, built this very powerful compute engine that sort of had this initial data set, which was Landsat, and we were the first, I think, to make all of Landsat available all of the time, and we had them pull the tapes and basically make a copy of everything for us and ingested all of that into the system. And so, initially, I think that was on the order of, was it 2009, 10, somewhere in there. We had the Brazilian rainforest sort of regression model. We could detect when rainforest was getting cut down and generate reports that could then be sent to the Brazilian police to, catch illegal logging. And that was at the time, a very big deal for climate change because, of course, rainforest logging is 10 to 20% of all of CO2 emission reduction possibility. So that was the thing that put it on the map, but they also had thousands of other scientists trying many other things, because the advantage was you could write an algorithm on Google Earth Engine and run it across the entire planet. And, one of my favorites is always like studying of river meandering, right? How do rivers move over time? Well, any one river is interesting and it produces, pretty animation, but you can actually do systemic analysis of rivers across the entire planet and decide when and why a particular meander or change or loop closure happens and the river, goes on. And so I thought that was a very interesting systemic application of world data.
If you found this conversation interesting, you can watch the full episode right here. And all these conversations are also available as audio-only podcast episodes. So if you want to listen to the full conversation, I'll have links in the description to the episode, to some of the most popular podcast apps like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever. Everything down below.